What's up, Wisconsin? Welcome back to the Inside Wisconsin Show here on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. Trevor Thomas and a familiar face to the Inside Wisconsin Show, but he's filling in this time for a different guy. That's former Packer wide receiver Bill Schrader. What's up, man? Good to see you again.
It's great to be here. And, I know I can't take the job of John. He's done fantastic, but I got to represent where he is, what he's doing, representing our team. And I hope I can just fill his shoes a little bit so he knows he's in good hands with you.
And you helped fill the guest spot for quite a few of us old Packer fans that remember Super Bowl 31 like it was yesterday. Don Beebe jumping on the show with us, was here with the Packers for 2 years. Obviously an incredible career with Buffalo, but you two hit it off quick, right? You only spent 2 years together here in Green Bay, but Don's a longtime friend of yours, yeah?
Yeah, he's one of my best friends. We've done lots of things. Our families have done things together, but we've traveled doing fishing events, lots of golfing events, but I would help him out going back to Chadron playing golf tournaments out there. Our families used to do get-togethers up in upper Minnesota where we would have cabins and, just reminiscing and stories that we have. It's going to be a great interview with him.
Out of curiosity, when we all graduate high school, we stay in contact with a few people, right, over the years, and obviously acquaintances. How does it work in the NFL when you're on so many different teams and get to know so many different guys? How many of those guys are you in contact with regularly?
It's kind of like the same thing in high school. There's a few people that really touch who you are and you keep in contact with, and there's some guys that you text here and there or email here and there, but the family that we have in Green Bay, I mean, I'm talking about all the guys that I've played with over the years. Whenever the Packers, which do a fantastic job of bringing us back together often, when we get together, it's fantastic. I mean, you just sit down and have discussions with these guys, what you're doing with your families. Now all of our kids are in college or out of college, and just reminiscing about the past, catching up on the present, and just seeing these guys is great. It makes you just feel back again, like you're a kid again, like when you were playing.
It's pretty fun. Speaking of being recognizable, I know we talked about that a little bit with Don as we kind of jump into the interview, but you and I actually saw each other recently at the Packers Phoenix Steak Fry, the Phoenix Packers Steak Fry for UW Green Bay Athletics. And I came and said hi to you. We're chatting it up a little bit, and a random fan walks up to us, and I'm going, all right, he wants to talk to Bill Schrader and maybe, talk about the Packers and whatever. And so I start to walk away, and here this guy was like, hey, man, I love the Inside Wisconsin Show. Thanks for doing this. And I look at you, and I'm like, this isn't real life. Like, I'm talking to a Super Bowl champion. This guy wants to talk. That's crazy. But I bring up the Packers Phoenix Steak Fry is because my wife and I and another couple friend of ours, we won the trip to Nashville that they were putting up week 3.
Nice.
And so it sounds like Scotty Wells is going to be one of the alumni, but I don't know if they have another one pinned. So when we're all done, will you reach out to Kathy Dvorak, please, and just tell her that you want to be the other alumni that comes to Nashville? Because that'd be pretty good.
Absolutely. I've been to Nashville not too long ago, and I love that place. It's good.
Well, let Kathy know you're available.
I will do that. I'll call her right now.
All right. Well, first, let's talk to Don Beebe, though, all right? Before we get to that, we'll do that in a little bit. All right, Don Beebe, a good friend of Bill Schrader's and one of the fastest guys in the NFL, and obviously we recognize him for wearing green and gold here when we went to 2 Super Bowls in a row, which I feel like he probably helped bring us to, right? 4 Super Bowls at the Bills, 2 Super Bowls at the Packers. He's got some incredible stories. Let's jump in. Don Beebe on the Inside Wisconsin Show.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us. You guys don't know this, but the last guest on the Inside Wisconsin Show was Derek Mays. So, I mean, we're covering the gamut here of like the 96, 97 receivers. Bill Schrader filling in for John Anderson. That's Don Beebe. Don, are you still as fast as you used to be? Let's get that out of the way. You guys are 2 of the fastest Packers to ever put on the green and gold.
Is anyone faster than they used to be? No, I don't. Last time I ran, I was 41 years old. So that was 18 years ago.
Wait, so, meaning like you 19. Haven't sprinted since 41 years old?
No, so I I was at 41, actually 19 years ago. So I was doing speed camps then, and some kid at the camp, there was probably 150 kids at the camp, was talking a lot of trash that he could beat me. Then he got his whole friends talking trash, and so I had to shut him up a little bit. So that was the last time I sprinted full. I about tore my hamstring from my can and said I'm never going to do that again, and I have not. When I was 50, I think it was 51, I was training my kid Chad, and he challenged me, just joking around between father and son, because we both knew who was faster. He was at that time. And I said, let's race. That's fine. The only thing is I get to say go. And we started out, and I said go, and I took off, and I had him by 2 steps, and I went about 3 more steps, and I felt like Rocky Balboa with Apollo Creed on the beach, but I was Rocky. And I said, I'm done. And I quit after about 8 yards. And he looks back at me, and he says, where are you? So that was the last time I actually took a quick step. But the last time I sprinted was 41 years old.
Wow. Hey, Don, we've had discussions about everybody thinks that Don Beebe is just a football player. What did you do in college when you ran track? Because I don't think people know a lot about this.
Yeah. Well, when I went to Western the first time, I didn't run track at all. And then when I went to Shadron and played football there, that off season, I had some NFL teams that were looking at me before the combine. Then after the combine, I had a lot of interest after the combine. But the track coach came to me and said, would you run track? I said, there's just no way. I'm training for football and getting ready. He said, just show up for the meets. So I did. And I just showed up for meets, never went to one practice the whole season, and landed up getting 5th in the nation in the 60. And I ran a 6.14 in the 60 that year, which at that time, Billy, as you know, being a track guy, that was 4 100ths off the national record in 1988. So, but I will say this, guys, and Billy's a little bit more of a track guy, like 100, 200, or 400 guy than I was. I was more of a 40, 60 guy max. You start getting me into 100, it was just a different race. Case in point, I don't know if you guys remember Michael Powell.
Mm-hmm.
Billy, do you remember Michael?
Yeah, the long jumper.
Yeah, so Michael was a 900 meter guy as well. Well, I raced against him in what used to be called the Wide World of Sports kind of Olympic thing. They used to have the obstacle course, and we met in Cancun, and I raced against Michael Powell. So I beat him in 40. We were dead tied at 60, and he blew me away in 100. So I didn't train for linear speed for track. I always trained for 40, which is just, most people don't know this, but it's a different game. The 40 is a way different game than the 100 and the 200.
Yeah, I mean, so now we're into the Summer Olympics, and I know Wisconsin's own Kenny Bednarik is over there. John was joking last time we did a show and talked a little bit about track, because John Anderson is the track and field hoopah, if you will. He was saying how smart it would be for the Packers to sign Kenny Bednarik, right? Faster than fast gets. And I think that that's interesting, because you two are track athletes and track stars and both got signed on NFL teams. Don, what is it about track and the sprinting that you did there that carries over into the NFL?
Well, again, to put myself in Billy's category of track athlete, it would be a slap to Billy. I'm not a track athlete like Billy was. I mean, Billy was an incredible. Billy could have done the Olympics if he wanted to, probably in the decathlon. So, because 40 is like I said, it's just different. So going back to Kenny, I don't, and then football speed, and then 40 or football player. And you can see both mine and Billy's expression. That'd be like taking Carl Lewis and having him run a dig route across the middle. There's no way he's catching that ball. We both know that. So could he run a go route? Well, how many times really did Billy and I run a go route in a game and caught it or get it thrown to? A couple of times, maybe. But you got to be explosive and in and out of cuts and change of direction and just smart and tough and catch a ball when you're going to get smoked. And there's no way Kenny could play football. I mean, come on, let's be real. So he's a track guy. Great. But track guys don't make great football players. you know.
We've seen a lot of guys over the years. I mean, exceptional Olympic sprinters that have tried to make it in the NFL. And I'm not going to put myself into the exceptional track athletes. I was a decathlete. And Don's exactly right. You take somebody like Kenny, who's an unbelievable sprinter. He's a great football player too, but to try and teach him how to run routes, it's completely different. I mean, if you watch somebody like Don run routes, he's really precise. He gets in and out of his breaks really quick. Defensive backs look for somebody that is just an all-out speed guy, because all they got to do is put a hand on you and then you're out of your route. So it took me 3 or 4 years to learn how to play receiver. And Don, coming out of college, could play right away because he was a football player. He was one of the best receivers that came out, drafted in the 3rd round. I mean, my gosh, I got drafted in the 6th round because I was fast, not because I was a good receiver. So it takes a lot of time to teach somebody how to do that. And Kenny's in the spot he needs to be in. Those sprinters are in spots they need to be in. I mean, it's rare when you can find somebody that can do both. So,
Bill,
and again, I'll just add to what Billy said, because Billy and I have been training wide receivers for years, you know, through companies that we, you know, work at. So very rarely have I ever seen a true track guy be a great wide receiver or running back even. But I have seen really fast football players be great track guys. I have them on at Royal University here, where they're football players first, and then they'll go do track, and they'll excel in track as well. But the other way, from track to football, is much, much harder.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick. You're at Aurora University, the head coach of the D3 football team there. How's Aurora, Illinois this time of year?
Well, I mean, I'm not a big Illinois guy. I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to lie.
Us neither. Turns out the Inside Wisconsin show, not a big Illinois guy either.
Yeah. But I love AU. I love Aurora University. Honestly, when I left Aurora Christian in 2018, I wasn't quite sure where I was going to go. I kind of felt led that I was going to, selfishly, I wanted to leave the state and kind of go south somewhere. And no, God said, no, you're staying at Aurora. And I'm glad that is, because I love it. You know, had a chance to go in the NFL and coach, had a chance to go FBS schools and coach, but I'm so glad that didn't happen. As you look back now, I mean, the NFL to me is a complete mess. FCS, FBS is a complete mess. Transfer portal, nil money. I don't have to deal with those things. And man, I would have struggled dealing with that. And that's why guys like Nick Saban get out and says, I'm not an agent. I'm a football coach. And now you have to be an agent pretty much to be at that level. And I wouldn't have handled that very well. I probably wouldn't even be coaching right now if that was the case.
Being that you have been a high school coach at Aurora Christian for a long time, you and I got to talk last week at the Hall of Fame golf tournament, but what's it like being a head coach? I already know the answer to these, and I had a lot of questions for you when we were talking, but what's it like being a head coach of a college team? Now, I understand Division III is a lot different than Division I, but you have a lot of things on your plate being a head coach.
Yeah, I mean, Division III school has to oversee everything and be involved in everything, from budget to marketing to, recruiting, heavily involved in all those things. And you have to have a lot of different meetings, and you have to wear a lot of different hats. I was told by, guys that, Doug Peterson, our former, roommate of ours and teammate of ours, and guys like that coach at that level, that D3 is probably the hardest one to coach. I have actually found it just the opposite because of what's transpired over the last 3-4 years in college sports. Here's why I love D3. You have guys that are really passionate. You got guys that pay to play, have jobs, and they just have so much passion to play at this level. Whereas D1, it's almost entitled now, where you pay them to play. And it's just a completely different mindset that you're dealing with. I'm not saying there's not great kids at D1, because there are, but when you start getting paid, it just changes things, and unless they're just really solid character kids, that means they had great parents, most likely. I don't think I could have dealt with that because I'm really into the purity of the sport and the game. And I'm looking for guys that were just as passionate as Billy and I when we were young. I'm looking for that eye of the tiger type mentality and just that gleam in their eye that just loves the sport. Boy, I found that big time at Aurora University, and I love coaching here. I'll never, hate to say never, but I don't see me ever leaving AU. I could finish my career here for the next 5-10 years and then call it a day.
Right off into the sun.
Trevor, let me touch on that. So I talked to Don, and I've known Don for a long time. He's the most competitive person I've ever been around, and he and I can go back and forth, tell stories for hours about how we've been competitive with our families and everything else. But just listening to Don talk about him coaching, I know how passionate he is about being an athlete. It's one of the hardest working people I've ever been around. But just listening to him talk about his coaching experience and then being able to see him take Aurora, a Division III school that most people have never even heard of, to the playoffs and have a chance. They beat Whitewater 2 years ago and almost beat La Crosse last year. I mean, Don's doing a fantastic job. Look out. These guys might win a national title, and then Don's going to be the coach of the year, and he's might name a trophy after him pretty soon.
Well, I appreciate that, Bill, but I say this to every recruit that comes into my office. I'm not here to win football games. I'm really not, because if I was, I think that's pretty shallow. And who you are as a person. I'm here to mentor young men. Mm-hmm. And D3 level is a great avenue for me able to do that. And high school was a great avenue to do that. And so I'm not going to stand in front of God one day and God's going to say, hey, great job, all the wins. No, he's going to say, hey, I brought, Billy to you in 2024. What'd you do with him? That never leaves my mindset. And I don't ever want it to. That's why you should coach. If you're not coaching for those reasons, you should be coaching. Coaching is the greatest metaphor to life, impacting young adults, men and women, coaches all over the country. And there's a lot of great ones out there. There's a lot of bad ones, sadly. But I love it, man. It's exactly what God wants me to do. I'm right where in the wheelhouse of what he wants me to do. And that's why I enjoy every day. I can't remember the last day I woke up, honestly, and said, geez, I got to go to work. And I love it. I love getting over here and doing things and impacting people.
And I knew that's what Don would come back with when I started talking about wins. That's what I mean about he's a passionate coach. He cares about the players more than he cares about the wins and losses. He really does.
I think that's what culture is all about. So one more quick one before we take our first break. Bill brought it up. UW Whitewater, UW La Crosse, UW Oshkosh. The Wisconsin is a D3 powerhouse. My brother was an All-American offensive lineman at Whitewater back when they were winning their first set of national championships in the mid-2000s, right? And yet Bill made it into the pros from a D3, and now you probably are helping guys have their best opportunity to make it into the pros. There's a guy that plays for the Broncos. His name is Quinn. He's filthy rich, and he's from Whitewater, right? Like, how do you help discuss that opportunity, having been a professional football player yourself?
Well, when I first started high school, I had to really scale back. My mind was not what a 16-year-old was thinking or an 18-year-old was thinking. But I knew I wanted to be at the high school level because I wanted to be around my 4 kids, 3 girls and my son, Chad. So I knew I wanted to be a father first than anything. And then after I became an empty nester, I wanted to go to the college level because it was a little bit more competitive. I really believe this. Speaking of D3, first of all, the WIAC, La Crosse and in Whitewater and Oshkosh, the teams that because that whole conference is incredible. By far the best conference in the country. Nobody's going to argue that. Every team is good. And half the teams are really good. So to be able to knock off a Whitewater, that was a historic game. Not just in AU history, in D3 history, as Billy said. I mean, that was an historic win for our program to take off a giant like that. The first thing that I want to impact young men about in any meeting or any game is I really believe that people limit themselves tremendously by their mind and their heart. What do I mean by that is this. If you're going to beat a Whitewater, You better go into that game believing you can win it. If there's any doubt whatsoever, it ain't going to happen. Okay. It's like a 3-foot putt, and you got to go over that putt and you're like, I'm going to win this to win the, Masters or whatever it is. You got to know you're going to make that putt. That's what Tiger Woods' greatest advantage was. It wasn't really so much his athletic skill and his ability to hit balls. It was his mindset that was taught from him, his father, at a very young age. That's the first hurdle I have tried to teach athletes over my life in coaching. And the second part is people are just too lazy. I mean, to reach the ultimate level of whatever that is, and we're talking sports now, it could be anything. Man, you got to work harder than anybody else. You got to want it more than they do. And when you take those two things, okay, then you throw some talent into it, you got a dude that's going to be pretty good, or a girl that's going to be pretty good, whatever that is. So those are the first two biggest hurdles: your mind and your heart. And we beat Whitewater because of those two things. I really believe that. And to turn around a program, like Billy said, that's how it starts. I can't win games anymore. Billy and I can't win games anymore. Trevor, you can't win games anymore. I mean, only players win that. Okay, players win games. All coaches can do is change the culture, build a culture of the attitude that we can do this, and then we're going to work harder than anybody else. And I've always said talent doesn't win, X's and O's don't win, chemistry wins, and your mind and your heart wins. That's what wins. Mm-hmm. And we played on teams. Billy and I played on teams. I know with Buffalo and Green Bay, we had a lot of guys that lived their lives like that.
I would go play for you right now, and I'm 41, and I just blew out my Achilles. I'm not sprinting anymore. Oh, you can't even see it. It looks ridiculous.
Wow. No, I saw this. I saw it. Yeah. Wow.
Stupid. Dumb.
Yeah, that's not good.
Turns out I probably sprinted for the last time at 41 too, and I came up a little limp there at the end. Loudest pop of my life. All right, we'll talk more about the career that is coaching and also playing in professional football and what it was like to be to so many Super Bowls. Former Green Bay Packer wide receiver Don Beebe on the Inside Wisconsin Show. We're back in a minute.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us. The idea of Quick Trip is all about people. That's why we all drive out of our own way to go to a Quick Trip. Yes, the food's good, the bathrooms are clean, the gas is gas, but it's about people. And it's about our experiences in the store, the see you next time, and so on, that makes us want to come to Quick Trip. The idea of serving people in a retail setting is bonkers, but that's why Quick Trip exists. It's to impact people's lives. And that's the whole idea of this. The Inside Wisconsin Show and Quick Trip are teaming up because Quick Trip doesn't like to toot their own horn. Pretty humble company. Well, toot toot. We're gonna toot it for them and tell these stories on how Quick Trip is impacting our lives literally every day. This is Impact, presented by Quick Trip.
To have a job that I finally actually love, and to think that, never in a million years did I ever think that, I'm going to work at Quick Trip, being an accounting assistant in my previous life, but I'm here for the ride.
It's super cool that you work in customer service.
Yes.
And recognize awesome customer service. And you weren't having like a great day when you stopped into this Quick Trip and Jace was prepping for 4K, right?
Yes, it was actually, I want to say it was the second day of 4K. My kid's crying, I can't go help her. And I mean, you feel so small at that moment. What better way to help your daughter than to bribe them with something they like? And for her, that's Quick Trip.
Do you remember the letter that you wrote?
I do. I remember it very well.
I have it. Can I read it to you?
Oh, yeah.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
This is what it says. It says, I wanted to take the time to let you know of an amazing employee, Kelly at store 1023 in Windsor. She's such a sweet and amazing person. The first few days of 4K were rough for my child, Jace. They literally had to peel her off of me when dropping her off since she had never been in daycare or away from me. I would bribe her to go to school with a snack from Quick Trip after school. Months later, we try to go to the store when we know Kelly is working just to say hi, and to let Jace tell her how school was. Kelly is always smiling and engaging. She really lights up the registers when she's behind them. A very thankful customer, Laura and Jace. When you first got this, as I open this up, tell me about, like, I don't know, you said you were in the back crying, right? What was your first reaction?
Our store leader actually brought it in and gave it to me, and I went in the back and read it. It's just like, wow.
As that week went on and we kept stopping in, every single day, you know, we would come in the door and see you, and right away like, hi, Jace. Just having someone take that time and energy. Every single day we come in here for a bribery treat. It meant the world. That's the main reason I wrote that note.
It's not just a job. I mean, a lot of these people that come in here become family. To see her little face when you guys came in, it's like she was just a sweetie, and maybe it brought me back to my girls' days, and to know that those are over for me. You know, my youngest is going to be a senior this year, and so the excitement of taking your kid to school and those first day pictures, and I appreciate you guys. I mean, you guys make my day just as much.
Time for another top 5 list here on the Inside Wisconsin show, as always, presented by our friends at UW-Platteville, a top university in the Midwest. UW-Platteville ranks in the top 50 for best undergraduate engineering programs in the country and offers top-rated STEM programs in healthcare, biology, and more. Learn more at uwplatt.edu. Knowing you're a lacrosse guy, Bill, did you run into those pioneers quite often over on the west side of the state?
We did. Granted, I only played the 1 year of football, but all the track meets we were at, almost all the UW schools were there consistently. And yeah, we ran into them quite a few times.
I would say that of all of the campuses that I've been on in the D3 system, the WEAC here in Wisconsin, Platteville and La Crosse are way up there in terms of nicest, most beautiful campuses here in Wisconsin on the D3 level. Yeah,
being that my son and daughter have been at La Crosse in the last few years, and my son still has one more year there. The campus in the last 10 years is improved tenfold. I mean, redoing buildings, putting new buildings in, putting a brand new training facility for track and field in there. It really is a gorgeous campus.
Yeah, Platteville put a brand new engineering building up too. Well, that means good things for Wisconsin. A lot of those kids, that whether they end up at Platteville or any of those other D3 schools, much like yourself, they stay in the state. All right, top 5 list time. So I'm going to put Bill Schrader on the block here, by the way. And I can't tell you how bad I want to say Schroeder. So we had Bill Schroeder on the show after we had Bill Schrader on the show. And it was funny. He said to us, the only place that people want to call me Schrader is Wisconsin. Everywhere else, it's Schroeder. So anyway, you two can duke that out. But
and
all right,
the
top
fun
5
thing is, we actually just met a few weeks ago at the Vince Lombardi Golf Tournament down there. We had never met before. What a fantastic guy. And he goes, man, I have so many football cards of you that people send to me. And I'm like, I've got a box of baseball cards, and I would never play Major League Baseball in my life. So it was a great hookup meeting him finally.
That's awesome. All right, so I pinned it on Bill just before we started the show today that I would like to know the top 5 fastest guys from the Green Bay Packers roster of Super Bowl 31. Bill was on that team. Mr. Beebe was on that team. There was a couple other fairly quick individuals on that team. Bill, who is number 5? We're going to go 5 to number 1. Who do you think was the number 5?
Gosh, I mean, number 5 is the one that really gets me. I don't even know for sure. It could have been Robert Brooks. That would be probably my closest inkling, but I definitely know the top 4.
Okay, 5 Robert Brooks. I would have been pretty surprised if he didn't make it into the top 5 fastest Green Bay Packers in 1996. Robert Brooks, number 5. Who's number 4?
Brian Satterfield.
Really? Tell me more about that.
He was a running back, basically used as a fullback, and he actually got injured during the season, but the reason why I know about these top 4 is that was the one year that we actually did a training camp workout before the season started. And we did actually run a 40-yard dash.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
And there you go. He finished 4th. All right. So I'm curious. I would like to believe that you're in the top 3, but who's number 3?
Do you know who these 3 people would be? I could turn this around on you, but since I already know the answer.
Well, you're doing a great John Anderson impression right now. I believe I do. There's one name that I couldn't quite remember if he was on the team. I am scrolling behind the scenes. He is.
Oh,
I
see,
think I do.
That's cheating. That's
no,
cheating.
so no. I just had to make sure he was on the team because I don't know if you watched the Inside Wisconsin show. I am a professional foot in mouth guy on this show, especially during this segment, because John pulls crap out of he pulls stuff off the top of his head, and most of the time I don't even know it exists. So rather than drop somebody, I just wanted to make sure that this dude was on the team. So I think I know the top 3, and now, well, you know what? I'll take the top 3 and I'll see if I can put them in order, and you tell me if I'm right or not.
Okay, number 3.
I think it's you.
No.
Damn it. It's Travis Jervey?
Yes.
He was 3rd. Dang.
Yes.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
No, I mean, hey, that's top. You got it.
So D. Mays said that he's good friends with Travis down in North Carolina, stays at his house when he goes there. In the weirdest way, I wanted to see if Travis could pop in on today's show just with you and Don. Now, I think you're number 2 and Don's number 1. Am I right on that?
From that day, it was, yes. Technically, Don has run the fastest combine 40. I think on the day that we ran those, between Don and I, we always think that we're faster than each other, and he is right. He would be faster in the 40 because he's a little bit quicker than I am. But yeah, the day that we ran, I believe he ran 4.25. I ran 4.26. Jervey ran 4.28, and Satterfield ran 4.29.
Wow. You ran a 4.26?
Mm-hmm. That's what I ran in college.
That's what I thought. And he ran a 4.25. Is it fair to say that you 3 are the fastest Green Bay Packers to ever play?
It's possible. It's possible.
I don't know how it's not. That's if you ask people who are the fastest Packers, your 3 names come up without a doubt. Robert Brooks is up there too. We've had some really fast receivers, but probably never as fast as you 3.
And I never went to the combine. I mean, I was asked to go to the combine, but I didn't want to go. I mean, I was trying to do everything with the Olympics, which is on the other podcast. But who knows? It could have changed the story of where I went, but it's something I just didn't do.
How much do you think the speed of the Packers in '96 had to do with winning the Super Bowl?
It helped. It is definitely not the reason why. I think the leadership that we had from the top down and the camaraderie that team had is like none other I've ever seen. With Don talking about there was definitely more talent in Buffalo, but it's just I've never been a part of a team in my entire life, other than I can say at UW La Crosse, our track team. The 3 years that we won indoor and outdoor together, we had tons of talent. And granted, it's all about numbers and place there, but we all believed that we could do the things that we were going to do, just like that 96 football team. Everybody believed that their job, that they could take care of their job. And it wasn't just you had 1 or 2 people that were really good. You had a group of guys that played together as a team. And I think it just really showed that year.
Yeah, that's incredible. Was anybody sneaky fast that you would never have guessed?
No.
It was pretty clear who the fast ones were.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was, I mean, a lot of people didn't think that we were. But it was just, it was. I mean, the times don't lie. So years later, when you don't do all that testing, you just see people. It's when people can find that gear of going to catch somebody or going to get that ball or running somebody down. That's the sneaky fast kind of stuff you're talking about. And there's I mean, everybody in the NFL has guys like that, but it's neat when you see that one person make that one move and that can go get that ball or go catch that, run that guy down. That's fun stuff to see.
We're back to the Inside Wisconsin show. Trevor Thomas, guest host Bill Schrader, and Don Beebe of Bills and Packers fame. Don, let's talk about that real quick. I don't know that anybody other than maybe Tom Brady and a few of the guys he brought along for the ride have been in more Super Bowls than you. And you talked so eloquently in the first part of the show about it's not necessarily about winning, it's learning from losses and so on. Man, what was it like being to all of those Super Bowls in a row and unfortunately not coming out on top and then finally getting a ring with the Packers?
Yeah, so set the record straight because this gets confusing to a lot of people. I was the first player in NFL history to be on 6 Super Bowl teams. I was hurt, so I didn't get to play in one of them, and then the other one is a whole nother story. But and then came Mike Lodish. Mike Lodish was a D lineman for the Buffalo Bills for 4 Super Bowls. Then he went to Denver and he went to 2 more Super Bowls. So he's the first player to actually play in 6 Super Bowls. And then came a guy named Tom that changed everything when it came to Super Bowl. So that's how that whole thing comes about. But yeah, I was very forward. I played 9 years and 6 of them were on Super Bowl teams. I mean, it was just ridiculous. I had a lot of fun. Couldn't have picked better teams. Just great men that had one common goal, and that was to win it. Here's the difference between the 2 teams. I get this question a lot. Why'd you win it in Green Bay and lose 4 in a row in Buffalo? And to be honest with you, we had more talent. I mean, you know, if you're going to win Super Bowl, you got talent teams. We know that. But Buffalo Bills will go down in history. It already has. Is one of the most talented teams of all time. I mean, look at all the Hall of Famers off that roster already. I don't even know how many players it is, but it's a lot. Where in Green Bay, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was just Reggie and Brett off that our Hall of Fame guys.
Leroy Butler now. Okay,
Leroy too. That's true. So there are 3. So, and sorry, Leroy, I just actually saw him Monday, and he would shoot me for not remembering him. But but the difference was the mindset of the leadership. When we got to the Super Bowl, for some reason in Buffalo, I think it was the pressure to go back to back. And then the way that whole debacle turned out with Thurman's helmet, and then we just started off really bad, and then it just multiplied into a bad game. And then we go to now it's the 3rd one. Nobody in the country wants us there, and the media's putting pressure on us. And you know, it was a decent game, and then it turned into a blowout. We had 9 turnovers, guys. Think about that. You turn the ball over 3 times, you're losing. 9, you're definitely losing. And then we get blown out, 52-17. Now, the difference was this. Super Bowl the 4th one in Atlanta against the Cowboys again. We're winning the first half. We're up 3 points. We come out. We get the ball first. We come out of the locker room thinking, hey, let's just take this down. We're playing well. We're handling the line of scrimmage very well. Let's get up 10 and put this thing away and finally win one, right? No. So first drive, probably the 3rd or 4th, 5th play of that drive, Thurman fumbles it. James Washington, the safety of the Dallas Cowboys, picks it up and scores a touchdown. Well, we're down 4 points. You come to the sideline, there's a whole half left, okay? And it's dead quiet, deer in the headlight. Nobody's saying a word, okay? It was like, oh, gosh, here we go again. We're going to get beat. Well, we did. We didn't even – I'm not sure how many first downs we got. No way we were close to another touchdown. And they went on to 3 more touchdowns with Emmitt Smith running it right down our throat. They completely blew us out. Now you fast forward 2 years, I'm with the Pack, playing the Patriots. We go up 10-0. Next thing you know, boom, boom, Bledsoe hits some big passes, and they're up 14-10 sometime in that second quarter. You come to the sideline now, completely different. I mean, Leroy, Eugene, even myself at this point in time, Reggie, everybody was just like, guys, they're not that good. Okay, we're way better than they. We're fine. Just keep doing what we're doing. Well, next thing you know, it's 27-14 at halftime, and then Reggie takes over the second half with 3 sacks. So the mindset of the Packer team, this is why I preach this so much. Talent doesn't win the game, man. I'm telling you, your heart and your mind is what wins, and over anything. And we had that in Green Bay in the Super Bowl. We did not have that in Buffalo.
Yeah, I believe that completely. And being around Don and all the Hall of Famers, I think that year in '96, everybody believed that we could do it. And when we finally won that game, 97 was, we're going to do it again. And then unfortunately, when we got to that game, we got outplayed. It was just, Denver came to it and said, no, we know how to beat you guys. But with all that being said, we're not talking about losing. For people that are watching this and don't know a lot about Don, this is something that you really need to read. Don gave me this book many years ago when he wrote this. And I'm telling you, this is one of the best books I ever read. And I think if Don wants to share a little bit about it, it's so impressive that, like I've told you before, Don's an inspirational guy, but some of the stuff that's in his book that people don't know about, everybody knows about the Leon Lett thing with Don. You know, Don is 1,000 times more than just this one play. And everybody gets the one play shakedown of what they did in their career. I think what Don has done off the field is what he does preaching God to people. I mean, it's so amazing. And I just told Don the other day, it's like, if it wasn't for Don and Reggie and Kadri Ishmael, I don't think I'd be where I am today. Those guys brought me to light, but this book is something that people need to read.
Well, again, Billy, I appreciate you. I didn't know you were going to show the book. And I'm going to actually show you another book I just finished a couple months ago. And I don't want this to be cheesy selling book thing, because I'm not. But I just finished another book called Never Give Up. And this is the title here. And I just happen to have this in my office with me running down Leon Lett on the cover. But why I did this book is this. I'll talk briefly about the first book. I never thought I was a book guy, which is now, Billy, I just had meetings again in Wisconsin Saturday night with people investing into, now it's turning into a movie. And the movie's supposed to come out late 26. They're right now just writing the script for the movie. Guys, listen, I never thought I was a book guy or a movie guy. Billy knows my story, but I was approached after we won the Super Bowl to do a book, and we came out with 6 rings from nowhere. And we named it 6 rings. I didn't win 6 Super Bowl rings, but when you go to Super Bowl, you get a ring, win or lose, and I have 6 rings. So we called it that because I came from nowhere. I should have never played in the NFL, guys. There's no way. It was God's calling in my life to play in the NFL. I just followed it. I was obedient and smart enough to listen to God than myself. And God worked it out. Same thing with my own son. He should have never played in it either. But God had a plan for his life as well. So we went and we wrote this book just to inspire people. And then just recently this year, about 4 to 5 months ago, this marketing company that my daughter works at in Nashville wanted me to do a wide receiver book. I'll be honest, I had no interest in doing a wide receiver book, but I said, yeah, because my daughter was going to head up the whole thing and, be a part of the project. And I said, sure, let's do one. So I was like halfway through writing this wide receiver book, did not take a lot of notes and stuff. And I was on the phone with my daughter pulling into a BP gas station of all places. And literally, I just felt like God just laid this on my heart, and I had to share it with her right then, literally within those minutes. I said, Caitlin, I just want you to know we're not going to do this wide receiver book right now. Well, Dad, no, we got all this campaign ready to roll out and go, and we spent all this money already, Dad. And I was like, it's okay. We'll get to it eventually, but we're going to put it on hold. We're going to do a devotional. A devotional? Dad, there's a lot of devotionals out there. Yes, there are. Matter of fact, there's a lot of devotionals for athletes. I said, but this one's going to be unique. This is going to be a former professional athlete writing down things that God allowed to happen to them. And keep in mind, God allows it. God doesn't do it. God disallows it. That's why I get that question all the time. Why do bad things happen to good people? Well, God allows that to happen to help us grow. I mean, we all go through tough times, guys. Nobody's immune to that. Everybody goes through tough times. And so I wanted to take those tough times and put them in a devotional called Never Give Up. So I have 12 stories that God allowed to happen to me, and how did I get through them? Through faith and scripture and just getting on your knees and praying. And God got me through some really hard times. And my story being one of them. And I tell you, the devotional just came out You can only get it at donbeebe.com. We're not going to Amazon or anything like that. We're just going to do it right through our own website. And it's just been great. And the reason I did it is I wanted to uplift people. I wanted people to go through tough, they're going through tough times, and just give them this book and say, well, wow, that's pretty cool perspective to how to get through tough things. And it's been great. And that's what at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, that I look back and said, did you impact anybody today? Did you really touch somebody's life? Or was it all about you again? It's funny. When you look at my highlight film early in my career, I was convicted because I would spike the ball. And the first time I saw myself spike the ball, I was like, is that really me? And I was like, am I really trying to honor myself here? Or what's the reason that you're playing football, Don? And so I started doing the T-ball, and Billy can attest this. I started doing the T-ball before Tim ever even came along. And the reason I did it was I just wanted to give the glory to the Lord and not me. I wanted all the attention off of him, or off of me and onto him. And the Leon Lett play really is, and I get this question, 31 years later, we're still talking about it, which is crazy. Think about that. The play meant nothing in that game, but yet it made something to a lot of people, hundreds and thousands of people. And I'll never forget that day. And I'm going to give you the inside story of that play. And I'm not sure Billy has ever really heard this part of it before, but I went out. First of all, when you're a kid and you're a little boy and you're in mom's backyard playing, the place I wanted to play, our Super Bowl in mom's backyard, was Pasadena. Fred Biletnikoff. I was Fred, Oakland Raiders of the 1970s, playing the Super Bowl in Pasadena. I'm living my dream. And I remember going out an hour before the game. I had everything on except my shoulder pads and jersey, but I had my game pants, shoes on, everything, just walking, taking it all in. And I said a prayer that I'll never forget. I prayed before every game, right? As Billy would as well. But this one was different. And I went to the 50-yard line. I took a knee and I just said, God, let me glorify your name more than mine today, more than any other time. Lord, let this stage be today the greatest in sports to glorify your name. Honestly, guys, I got up, selfishly speaking. There was no doubt in my mind I was going to score the touchdown. A one-handed J.J. Jefferson stab in the back of the end zone to win the Super Bowl for the Buffalo Bills. I'd have been a folk hero, man. They'd have never let me off the plane if I would have scored that touchdown to win it in the third one. Now, this was our third one. But no, God gave me Leon Lett. God gave me a Leon Lett play, running down a guy in a blowout 52-17 with 4 minutes left in the game. That was a meaningless play in the game, but yet it wasn't meaningless. I didn't know that until after the game, when the owner came up and talked to me. I was like, wow, that meant something to him. And then I get back to One Bills Drive, and the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fan mail letters every day in big boxes, every day. And this went on for a long time. And still today, 31 years later, I still get at least, I got a couple of them over here today signing these, and they all talk about Leon Lett. Most of them talk about, hey, man, what a great play. You inspired my kid. You inspired me, blah, blah, blah. But this is what I want people to resonate is how many people in the stages that I stand, or in the football team that I stand in front of and talk to, or on this podcast, how many people can relate to scoring a one-hand stab touchdown in the back of the end zone in the Super Bowl? Nobody. Hardly anybody. Okay, but how many people can relate to never giving up? Everybody. See, that's how God works. God always knows the outcome. His timing is always perfect. And I can honestly say this today. I couldn't have said this at the moment, but I can say this today. Would I go back and rather be the guy that made the one-hand stab that can't relate to anybody in those audiences, or would I rather be the guy that ran down Leon Lett? No question. I'll take the Leon Lett play. And I know the Buffalo Bill fans are going, what? But it's the truth. And here's why, because the big picture is eternity, guys. The small picture is here and now. We might be here for 80 years, maybe. How many people can you impact in 80 years? It's going to go fast. Me and Billy are already getting up to close to 60 here, and it goes fast. Our kids are gone. We're empty nesters. It goes fast. How many people can you impact in those 80 years? I don't ever want to take that for granted. And the closer I get to that 80, the more urgency I get to impact people. And what a great way to do that through a book like Never Giving Up, or coaching kids at Aurora University, or whatever that is, or being on this podcast. So, guys, that's who I am in a nutshell.
So that's incredible. Thank you for sharing the behind the scenes piece of that story, because obviously it has to come up in a conversation with Don Beebe. I'm curious, did you ever sit down with Leon and do an interview or talk to him after that? Because I love your side of the story, and I'm fascinated by what he said and how it impacted him in his life.
Yeah, great question, Trevor. So twice. So 2 months after the Super Bowl, Sports Illustrated contacted me and asked me if I would be willing to do a piece on it. It'd become such a big thing in America. So many people and articles were being written about it that Sports Illustrated wanted to do something on it. I was like, man, the pinnacle of news? Sure. In the world of sports, I said, yeah, let's do it as long as Leon's okay to do it. So we met in West Palm Beach, Florida at a coffee shop. I'm always early. So I showed up early. I wasn't nervous, but I was like, I'd never met this guy, and in walked this huge man in the threshold of this coffee shop, right? So obviously I knew it was Leon. So I walked right over to him, shook his hand, and I said, Leon, I agreed to do this as long as there'll be no physical abuse. And it kind of cracked. He kind of shy, very shy guy. I come to love him, the guy. And we sat there, and Austin Murphy was the reporter that did the article, and just got to really know this guy. And just to hear his side of the story was quite compelling, to be honest with you. Then years later, we met to do a documentary on it. It never got funded, so it never came out. But we spent 3 days together. We did a reenactment at Northern Illinois football field. This time he actually scored the touchdown, and I was on his back. And all these things. But yes, I do know Leon very well. I could text Leon right now and he'd respond right away. And we've become friends over the years. And he is just a really good guy. And the nice thing about it is when you can go through adversity and humble yourself and still use it to impact people, that tells you a lot about a man's character. We just come from completely different perspectives, but our message is the same. Okay. But he comes from a perspective of I made the mistake, and he owned up to it. The funny thing is he would tell you, he says, I was just trying to be like Michael Irvin. Yeah, that was his first fall. Right. So, just score the touchdown. He'd have been a hero. And just so you guys know, you might not know this or not, but that would still be a record in the Super Bowl for most points ever scored, 59. But that record is the 49ers 55 against the Broncos. So that would have been a record, and Leon would have scored it.
Wow.
Well, that's awesome. Don, we talked again, but you say you're not traveling much, doing much because you're doing so much with coaching. I got to see you this last weekend. How many times are we going to be able to see you from here on out coming forward? I mean, you were at the Hall of Fame golf tournament with us. Can you do that every year with us? I mean, we had such a great time. I mean, I'm
going to try. I'm actually going to try to put that on my calendar and make sure that I get up there. I love getting back to. It's the first time I've been back to Green Bay, and I haven't been back to Buffalo in a while either. It's just hard, because when you go back, it's usually during the football season. And the football season is, for me, there's just no way. From August to the end of December, there's no way. But I have made a commitment. I am coming back to the Bear game in January. I'm going to be up there for that game, so we'll be able to get dinner at our favorite steakhouse, Billy. Right, Prime Quarter.
There we go.
Love going to cook our own steak over there. So, yeah, I'm going to try to make a commitment to do that tournament. Yes.
Good, Trevor. This guy is. We used to do stuff all the time. We would go fishing in Canada. We'd go up north camping, and I shouldn't say camping, but we'd go up north in Minnesota and have our families hang out. And ever since he started coaching, it's like Don's off doing his thing with other people, and I don't get to see him anymore. And I was getting a little selfish. It's like I need more time with Don. And
it's hard
with him, with Ryan Longwell, Dexter McNabb, all the guys that we had. It was a great time catching up. I really had a great time.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed the tournament. And Green Bay Country Club is just one of my favorite golf courses out there. I mean, I love playing that course. Yeah. But I will try, Billy.
All right.
All right, we'll wrap it up with Don Beebe in just a minute. We appreciate you coming on, man. Great stories and heck of an inspirational conversation. All right, segment 3 on the way. Back in 2 minutes, the Inside Wisconsin Show.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us. J.A., there was a big interview that hit the internet the other day in regards to Tom Rinaldi. We talk about him quite often on here, and our guy Bob Uecker. But there's a specific piece where Ueck is kind of reminiscing about the, what do you call it, the Miller Lite All-Stars from back in the day. Great taste, left filling, and then, I must be in the front row.
He is, and I saw that because it aired before the All-Star game. It's amazing that because Uecker still doesn't look 90. I know he's cut back his schedule, but he's just like, here he goes. Yeah. But even amidst, I always say this, even amid, right, all these all-star casts, these are the most popular athletes of the time. And the guy who hit 200 for his career steals the show.
Seriously.
Still steals the show, right? And he always does because he's the funniest. He's the most self-deprecating, and he's just – the guy hit 200. If you ever read his book, Catcher in the Rye, which is not like Salinger's Catcher in the Rye, it's a different one. One is spelled R-Y-E and one is spelled W-R-Y. But he talks about, everybody talks about, that guy's a 200 hitter. He's like, I was literally a 200 hitter. You know how hard it is to hit right at the Mendoza line? One more hit, one more out. I'm 199 or I'm 201. Doesn't get out. I hit 200 in the bigs.
It's impossible.
But it's hard to, I think of that campaign, those campaigns, those great, less filling, taste great ones from even when I was growing up. Like there are two people that stand out, Uecker and then John Madden, right? Busting through at the end. Like those two. And again, you got everybody. There's Billy Martin. You got every athlete. You got Mickey Spillane, just from everywhere. And those two guys always stole the spot. And
they bring it back now. And our guy, J.J. Watt, is a part of the crew. And the great taste, less filling argument. And now it's just both. Can we just agree that it's both?
Right. It's both. We have too much division in line, the unity of both of them. By the way, my air conditioning just went out here, so I might need to have like 9 Miller Lights to cool down.
Cool down.
Yes.
Highly recommend it. Well, you don't have to choose what's best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/inside Wisconsin, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer. I just reminisce as I was finishing that like we used to say all the time, you get some random ass Miller Lite from the flower shop. Couldn't believe it. That was fun.
And there was a time, right? Like every time you see a Missouri person, if you just say M-I-Z, that person will say Z-O-U.
Yeah.
Right. You're just not a fit. And I, like everybody all the time, just for fun, you did that. If you just said less filling, that person knew to yell tastes great. Like you just knew the call and response of how it worked.
We're back to wrap it up with Don Beebe, former Green Bay Packer wide receiver, Bill Schrader, filling in for John Anderson, Trevor Thomas. All right, Bill, a couple from you, and then I'm going to do my best J.A. lightning round impression, but 2 from you, and then we go.
All right. Since Don and I are 2 of the most competitive people you'd ever meet, Don, who's faster, you or me?
Okay, great question. 40, I would say me. 60 would be a tie, and 100 would be you.
Okay, that's fair, and we have proof on the 40. And second question, do you still owe me a steak dinner from the bet that we had thousands of years ago?
You're just coming up with this stuff. I mean, where are you coming up with this, huh? Steak dinner. You know what, Billy? I would be honored to buy you a steak. I would be honored to do a steak.
Don, again, I know I've said it before, is the most competitive guy I've ever been around, whether it's a golf course, basketball court, volleyball, didn't make a difference. I've literally only got Don on one thing, and it's the bet that we made years ago. Otherwise, he's got me on everything. So,
better golfer, you know what he's talking about. Yeah. Trevor, I have no idea what he's talking about.
I can tell you right now that if there's a steak dinner conversation around that Bears game, I'm just going to happen to be at prime quarter the night before. I don't know, just random.
Don wanted to make a bet when our wives were pregnant. Who was almost identical due dates? Who was going to deliver first? It was our first child. It was his 4th. Who do you think is going to deliver first? So then we came up with a bet is like, okay, whose daughter is going to walk first? Okay, that's fair. Even though his daughter was born 2 weeks before ours. And Don calls me up about 8 or 9 months later. He goes, Bill, you're never going to guess. You owe me a steak dinner. My daughter just walked today for the first time. I'm like, oh, wait. My daughter's been walking for over a month now. And he's like, that's a bunch of crap. That's not true. I'm like, absolutely. Look, she's doing it right now.
And then the final bet was who's going to be taller. And
Yes.
I think they're about the same right now.
And
both
I think
like 5'10".
Seriously, I think they're almost identical. I think, in fact, I asked Mara, and I think she said she's 5'11 and a half.
Well, then Mara 5'11 3/4.
And then she's like, yep. She's like, you know, Don's going to say that. So
No, Caitlin's only 5'10".
Yeah.
Leave it to dudes that are competitive as all get out to bet on things that we have no control over.
No,
none.
But none of it's a money bet. It's always something for fun. And it's like, even with that being said, it's like, no, we're not going to lose. We have to win.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is fun.
All right, time for the JA lightning round. The JA lightning round by me this time. He's going to watch this later and go, thank God you don't do this every time, but I'm going to do my best. Here we go. If you could choose where to retire, Green Bay or Buffalo?
Oh, wow. Man, that's a tough question. I mean, honestly, I would probably have to say Buffalo only because I spent more time there and I went to 4 Super Bowls. But it would be really hard not to choose Green Bay only because I won a Super Bowl in Green Bay. I would probably go half jersey blue and half jersey green is probably what I would do. I'd be the first guy to do that.
What if you could choose where to live in retirement, Buffalo or Green Bay?
Oh, that's another one. I would both are. See, I would choose an area who has the better fishing. And I would probably have to give that nod to northern. See, I'm looking at a lake house north of Minocqua, almost in the UP up in there.
All right.
So we are going to have a lake house in northern Wisconsin. So that answer is pretty easy.
Perfect. Who doesn't want a lake house in northern Wisconsin?
Yeah.
We asked this to Derek Mays. This is kind of a question for both of you. I've never talked to a former Packer wide receiver that played with Brett Favre that has straight fingers. How are your fingers? Told you. Yeah. Was that all Favre's fault?
Yes.
Yeah, of course it is. I mean, it's called Favreism. And you know what? He's a sick man because he's proud of these.
Yes.
He's proud of these. Yeah, he loves it. So I tried to catch a hitch route, and it got caught in the sun a little bit at the practice field, Don Hudson practice field, and it just blew my finger out. My finger was going 2 different ways. I mean, I had to have major surgery. I got a cut inside and a cut outside, but they had to go in and do a lot of surgery for a finger. He's a sick man.
How bad did it pain you that Chad was in Minnesota Vikings gear, knowing full well that you're proud of your son for making it into the pros, but there's
that's a great question, because initially it was like, God, I hate Minnesota. You know, I mean, it's just hard to see him and then go to Lambeau and play in Lambeau, which I'll tell you that story in a second. But yeah, no, initially it was hard, but then it overcame because he was my kid. And so blood obviously is always, thicker than whatever. Right. Yeah. But I go back up to he plays his first game in Lambeau and I'm there. So I got a buddy that has a box right on the 50-yard line. And he gave me and Diana, my wife, his seats, which are right in the front, and everybody's in Packer uniforms except me and Diana. We're in Chad's uniforms, right? Number 12. Oh. And so we're sitting there and everybody's, they're giving me a hard time. And that's fine. I expected it. And then he takes a 5-yard drag route underneath, and he takes it 63 yards to about the 3-yard line, almost put it in the end zone in a tight game. And it was dead quiet. Nobody was happy. What are we doing? Hearing all this stuff. And I looked over at Diana and said, I can't take this anymore. I stood up and I just went, yeah, like that. And they went nuts. They were all happy for me, but it was pretty funny moment between a Viking and Packer deal. But yeah, think about this. I grew up a Bear fan, played for the Packers, and my son played for Vikings. You talk about a trifecta of misery. Man, oh man. But
yeah, raise your hand if you played for the Lions.
Yeah, no, that would be the worst. But
yeah, that guy. That other guy did.
Yeah, I know he did.
But I didn't play for the Vikings.
No, that's true. That's true.
Or the Bears.
But the Pack is owned both teams over the years, so I got all bragging rights at Aurora University.
If there is a fire, what are you grabbing out of your office back there and then heading out the door? What can't you leave?
Oh, wow. Just looking at my office, I'd probably take my my Bible.
I could have called that. I would have absolutely picked that answer. Yeah. Right on the desk. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, a few more. Are you a good golfer?
I'm okay golfer. I would say above average.
Do you get
I
to
used to
golf
be
a lot?
I used to be really good, but when I played all the time. But I would say at one time I was a six handicap. I'm probably 12 to 14 now.
Bill, what's your handicap?
He's a sandbagger.
That's not true.
You guys.
Let's put it this way: if we were playing right now, Don would beat me. So
yeah, but he would be 100 yards farther on me on every shot. So
Yeah, well,
hey, let's just put this in perspective. And I know that we're talking about each other here. Billy is the longest driving of a golf ball I've ever played with. Now, I've played with a lot of pros. Billy will hit it 350 with a 3-wood. I mean, he just crushes it. but 350 with the driver for sure. I mean, nobody's going to argue that. I mean, he kills it.
Just can't score well.
Don, you're 59 years old, right?
Yeah.
When's the last time you dunked a basketball?
Oh, wow. Dunked a basketball at 10 feet.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, I mean, I was still playing in the league, probably, I mean, I could dunk probably up until my mid 30s, early 30s. Yeah.
Bill, can you still dunk?
No, not after my second knee surgery.
I don't think I'm ever going to do it again with this whole Achilles thing either.
Mm-mm.
Last one. It is special to be an alum of any NFL team ever, right? Knowing that you guys both played with a few different ones. We asked Bill this question when he was a guest at Inside Wisconsin. It's the same for you, Don. There is something special about being a Packers alumni. What does that mean to you?
Well, anytime I go into the state of Wisconsin, I don't care if I'm up in the northern Wisconsin fishing and I go out to a place to eat or I'm golfing or whatever. Packer fans are unique in the sense of they just want to, they're a part of the family. I mean, it's like you go out and meet people like me and Billy just played in the alumni deal thing in Monday. And, my group is like, these guys are like all your brothers, they don't look at you like you're some standoff person. It's almost like just having fun. Mm-hmm. And that's what it should be like. And, the thing is you can use, and I use the New York Jets as an example all the time. I don't know why, or any California team. They don't have that. I mean, they go out, they probably don't even know who you are unless you're Brett Favre. But in the state of Wisconsin, they know who you are. And then you win a Super Bowl in a Packer uniform. Now you're iconic forever. I mean, it's like the 60s team and then and the 96 team and the 2009 team. Those guys that were on those rosters, I mean, you're iconic for the rest of your life in the state of Wisconsin. And that's the way sports should be. And that makes it a lot of fun. And that's probably why I'm actually seriously, and I don't know if I've told Billy this, but I'm seriously contemplating of opening up a fishing guide service in northern Wisconsin, calling it World Champion Guide Service. And I'm just going to take people out fishing and guide them, catch fish, but really, just talk. Packer football, get to know the person and impact their lives, even at the age of 70 years old, let's say.
I'll be your first client.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that. I was going to call, damn it, Bill.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay.
Yeah,
How about we room on the boat for two?
I just think that would be really cool to be able to do at the end of your life, because I don't think your life should ever be over until it's over. Mm-hmm. I just don't want to sit and, golf and hunt or just sit on the couch and watch TV the rest of my life. I want to impact people until I'm gone. And what a great way to do that at an older age. So we're seeing
Trevor, I think what we need to do is we'll take John out and the three of us can be the first one to take a guided tour from Don.
John, I heard John's a big outdoors guy, right?
You get him fishing, I will lose it. If you get him fishing, oh my gosh, that guy doesn't do anything outdoors than cover track meets.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Well, we'll get John in the boat then.
He says that he doesn't like fishing, and it's not a sport because the other team doesn't know they're playing. Kind of hard to argue that.
He's got a point there, but it is a sport. When you're competing against somebody else, it's a sport.
We agree. Don Beebe, thanks for being our guest on the Inside Wisconsin show with Bill Schrader filling in the co-hosting seat. Heck of a story, man. Thanks for sharing it here with everybody here in Wisconsin that knows you as a Packer, but hopefully we know you a lot better now.
Well, it was an honor, Trevor. Thanks for allowing me on your team. And Billy, always great seeing you, man.
Okay. Thank you, Don. I really appreciate it. You made the first podcast of my career excellent. I think I'll just retire after this one.
Yeah, awesome. I love it.
We want you to do a whole lot more than just save money. We want your money to grow, just like your dreams. We want you to achieve financial well-being and the feelings that go along with that. Capital Credit Union, doing the right thing.
Heck of a choice there, Mr. Schrader, in regards to picking a guest to come on the show with you co-hosting. Don Beebe, one unbelievably inspirational man. I can only imagine the impact he's had on your life, too.
Yeah, he's been an inspiration to me. He's just one of those guys that I couldn't imagine not having in my life. And ever since I've known him, you know, we joke around about being competitive and this and that, but he's really opened my eyes to being a religious man again. And, you know, without that, I think my life would have turned a completely different way. I don't think I would have played nearly as many years as I did. And he's just a wonderful guy. You can see he is an inspiration to thousands of people.
You didn't play together very long. How incredible was it that he made an impact on you so quickly? Yeah,
real quick. And unfortunately, the year that he came in was the year that I got traded to New England. So when I came back and we won the Super Bowl together, that was unbelievable. I mean, he and I became instant friends. And then, believe it or not, the next year when we played against Denver, he was actually my roommate for all the road games and the Super Bowl. So I could sit and talk stories with him and on what he's done on my life and many others' lives. And but just fantastic guy. We just reminisced for hours, you know, at that golf tournament about all the things that we used to do, and that things that he would remember about us and what I would remember. And it's good. And this really helped. I wanted people to know who he is.
How'd you do in the golf tournament?
We did really well. We didn't win, but it's not all about winning. I played with some guys that, believe it or not, one of them who built my house and other guys that I met, just wonderful people. It's fantastic time.
That's pretty fun. That is an incredible golf course. He was right on that. Well, thanks for filling in, man, for John while he's over covering the Olympics. I know that you sported the USA shirt there for JA and what he's up to. I can only hear John now after talking to Don Beebe about track stuff. He's going to be like, really, Trev? Like, you had to go and talk to one of the fastest guys on the planet, and I couldn't ask him any track questions? I can just hear him saying that already.
Well, I love what John's doing, and I wish I was there with him. I'll be listening to him every single day. My son and I will be glued to the TV set. And, you know, being that we can't be there, we are still supporting USA in all the sports, but especially in track and field. We want all the athletes to do fantastic.
That's awesome, man. Well, thanks for filling in. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You know what? Another thing with the wet food, we've had salespeople put it on crackers and eat it at trade shows. It is made in a human grade, that the wet food we don't.
I believe you.
Yeah, right. So
I just don't want you to keep saying that, because these guys behind the camera are going to make me do it.
Farmers, brewers, hunters, packers, badgers, cheeseheads, neighbors. No matter what name we go by, we are bound together by our roots. These are the people, the stories, and the patriotism from inside Wisconsin. Welcome to Deeper Roots with Blaine's Farm and Fleet.
Another episode of Deeper Roots with our friends at Blaine's Farm and Fleet. We're at Stella and Chewy's Pets, Dogs Galore with Marie Moody, the founder of Stella and Chewy's. Marie, thanks for doing this and visiting with us.
my pleasure.
What is Stella and Chewy's?
Stella and Chewy's is a pet food company that is based on a raw diet. I founded Stella and Chewy's about 21 years ago. We are known for freeze-dried pet food.
When you say 21 years ago, it started here in Wisconsin, yes? Because you're from Wisconsin.
I'm from Wisconsin, but it didn't start here in Wisconsin.
We'd like to take credit. Can we take credit?
I opened my first plant here in Wisconsin.
Thank you. That's perfect.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Wisconsin, I could not have built this company the way it is now anyway. Milwaukee, I mean, as you probably know, Wisconsin's a big meat packing state, hence the Packers. A lot of people don't know that about the Green Bay Packers.
Company, yeah. And you're from here originally?
Born and raised here. Went to college at UW-Madison, moved to New York, ended up coming back for 5 years when I opened the first manufacturing plant, moved back to New York for like the last, I guess, 15 years, and moved back here now.
Take us back to the beginning. How did it start?
It started in New York City. I had an idea. I had a sick dog. Chewy and Stella were actually my dogs. Chewy was sick, so I had a vet that was a little bit ahead of his time, and he suggested I look into a raw diet for him, which I did. I ended up preparing it myself in my kitchen. There was nowhere else to buy that kind of a diet. It started out really as a frozen diet. I thought there was a need for this type of diet in the marketplace. And so I found a co-packer, and that's when the Wisconsin part comes in. And I used to have huge freezers all in my living room and big boxes of freeze-dried. And I used to do my first deliveries in taxis throughout New York City until I got a delivery vehicle.
What was it about your passion for dogs that led you to found Stella and Chewy's?
I've always loved dogs and animals in general ever since I was a little girl. I was in the fashion industry in New York City, and I really sort of failed my way to entrepreneurship because I was fired from a whole bunch of jobs in the fashion industry because I really just didn't care. So I decided I would try this. It started out where I had like freezers full of dog food. I would get these deliveries. The trucks would come in at like 3 a.m. And this is the beauty about starting something when you don't have children and you're not married. And you know, my feeling was the worst thing really that could happen would be that nobody wants this and I have enough dog food for the rest of my life. In fact, when I went to the first store in New York City to try to sell it, I remember the guy, and he said, nobody's gonna buy this. And I was like, well, I don't know about that. You don't want it, I'll just go and I'll see if George down the street wants it. And that's what ended up happening. And at first I gave customers a couple of cases just to try it out. Eventually then I started getting orders. And
why raw?
Raw is the most bioavailable for dogs. We domesticated them maybe a couple thousand years ago. Their systems haven't changed that much. They're really related to wolves and foxes. This is based on an ancestral diet.
That's why I believe in meat so much. Ancestral way of living.
All right, you look good.
I believe in McFlurries from McDonald's like I had with my kids last night.
I don't know if that's true. People in general say that with a raw diet, you know, the skin improves. It's like very good if you have like skin issues, if the dog has allergies. The coat gets better, the breath gets better, the energy level gets better because it's the kind of food they're meant to eat.
Can a human eat this?
We did consumer research at one point. We found there was a subset of people, and I have not met these people. They were eating the carnivore crunch.
We don't have that here. Please tell me we don't have that here.
So we had a subset of bodybuilders that were using the carnivore crunch as, you know, because it's just pure protein. You know what, another thing with the wet food, we've had salespeople put it on crackers and eat it at trade shows. It is made in a human grade, that the wet food we don't.
I believe you.
Yeah, right, so.
I just don't want you to keep saying that because these guys behind the camera are gonna make me do it.
Okay, well how about this?
Oh,
this is a wild weenie. This is a very popular treat.
For dogs?
Yeah, for dogs. This is for dogs. Do you want to try one?
I don't know.
You should. I think you
have
could. Here's an open one, actually. And I didn't even plan this. It seems like I did, but I didn't.
Can I have the bag for a second? I want to look at the nutrition facts. There are no nutrition facts because it's not human food.
There are nutrition facts. There are. There's a guaranteed analysis. You're 40% protein, 31% fat, 5% fiber, 5% moisture, and some sort of, I can't even say the word, it's a, what do you call it, a probiotic.
I'm not gonna like any of it. I'm not a dog. All right, I'm gonna try this.
He's an office dog that gets a lot of attention, as you
Max,
can imagine.
Max, I gotta be honest, your breath isn't, it's...
Not true. Not true, right, Max? Come here, Max. Oh my gosh,
yeah,
you are eating it.
It's in.
Okay, okay, you like it? You like it? Think your hair's growing?
Is it? Oh, look at this. Oh God, this is dog food. What I won't do for this show. Oh, it's in my teeth. Yeah, throw me that bottle of water, would you? It's in my teeth. Why is it in my teeth?
No, it's not.
It was for a second.
You want to try something else?
Nope, I'm good. That is the first thing I've had to eat all day.
You can take the bag
Listen,
with you.
I will, for my dog.
Okay, right.
All right. A lot of people have dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Why Stella and Chewy's? What is the difference in regards to what you do, and why is it so important?
We manufacture all of our own food in our own kitchens, and a lot of pet food companies don't do that. A lot of the pet food, especially kibble, is made in the same plants throughout the US. We bake our kibble. We bake it in our own plant, in our own bakery. The freeze-dried, we freeze-dry here. We also make here and freeze. Because of that, we're able to really control the quality of the ingredients.
What do we see differently in your plant than we would in a different one, I guess?
As clean as a human food plant. And the FDA will make like surprise visits. That's what they do. They've been super impressed with the level of cleanliness that's in our plant. We really do treat it like we're making human grade food.
All right, time for a tour. We are at the Stella and Chewy production facility here in Oak Creek, Wisconsin. This is Carrie Furlong. Carrie is the head of QA here, but also going to be a tour guide today. And I just learned that Carrie went to high school with my mom.
Small world.
Small world. You clearly graduated about 4 years ago, just like my mom did.
Oh, thank you very much. Let's go on a tour.
Carrie, we are in the dry food section of the
We're
plant.
in the freeze dryer section of the facility. That's where all the products, such as the wild weenies that you tried, go through the last part of the process.
You had to bring that up again?
To remove the moisture from the product.
There was zero moisture in that product.
Yes, there is.
These are huge.
So they fit 3 racks of product in there for almost an entire day to remove the moisture. So this is product coming out of the freeze dryer. You can notice that it holds its shape. Looks like it doesn't have any moisture in it. And then we hand sort everything to make sure what goes in the bag is premium quality.
Do you know how many pounds of dog food / treats that you make here in a day?
My best estimate, 250,000.
250,000
Go
pounds.
pass through the facility in a day.
250,000 pounds. Part of the factory.
We're in the packaging room, so the final step in the process before it goes to our customers. So it runs through the packaging line, metal detection, weighing, gets boxed, and then it's sent out to distribution. We have about 300 plus products that we can run in this room.
I tried one, and
That's enough.
I'm done trying. You're fine. But I will promise you that our dog will try some of these.
It's good. You'll love it. You'll always be buying the red bag now.
Yep. I have a coffee mug in my hand that talks about your values. These do not appear to be human values. Can I read them?
Yes, please. I love these values.
Be good, run with the pack, bark up, bark often, mark new territory. I want to come back to that one. All breeds welcome, keep your eyes on the ball. What's your favorite one?
Keep your eye on the ball. I love that one. And so we have this thing here too where we recognize people doing one of the values and then mark new territory.
I mean, there's an innuendo there from a dog perspective that I think is super cute, but I imagine it means let's grow, right?
Yes, of course. Be good. Yes, be good. That one's obvious. Run with the pack, right? Loyalty. Bark up, bark often. Some people do that better than other people. And all breeds welcome.
What's the future like for Stella and Chewy's?
My hope is that we continue to grow and that we're able to give back to the community and more dogs get to experience Stella and Chewy's, which is why we expanded the line to not just include raw food, but also kibble and treats and canned food and wet food.
It may not have started in Wisconsin, but it's certainly Wisconsin homegrown.
Yes, it is. We make everything here in Wisconsin. We're all about Wisconsin here.
We're grateful that you have roots here, deep roots. We're grateful that you employ so many fellow Wisconsinites, and we're grateful that the dogs of Wisconsin are eating, I guess, away what they were meant to eat.
I'm grateful for Wisconsin myself because Wisconsin has been very, very good to me.
Thank you for letting us come and share your story and for the tour and for the sample.
You're welcome, Trevor. Come anytime.
And I will.
We have plenty of food.
Do I need a hairnet?
Yeah.
Even though I don't have any hair. Definitely protecting the Jordans, I can tell you that much. Beard net. It gives me the impression that it's going to be messy. Is it messy?
No.
You know, it's not wet. Those weenie treats.
You didn't gag.
Oh, I gagged. You just didn't see it. It was
I don't know. You look
curtain.
like you enjoyed it.
First time I've ever eaten dog food.
It can be your first and last time.
It is my last. Our thanks to Marie and Carrie and the entire team here at Stella and Chewy's in Oak Creek. We're grateful for what they do for the state of Wisconsin, the deep-rooted story of how this began, and also what they do for our pets. You're gonna trust me on this one. It is great pet food. If you wanna learn more about Stella and Chewy's, head to their website, stellaandchewy's.com. Of course, you can find it at Farm and Fleet. They're a home partner here in Wisconsin with our friends at Blaine's Farm and Fleet. And as always, make sure to head to the website if you want us to feature your story, farmandfleet.com/deeperroots.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Shut up and sit down.